All right, we're live. We're gonna see how well this happens because I had a internet situation go down, and then after the internet situation went down, I had the hotspot from my cell phone. So we're gonna run a little bit today. Today might be a shorter show, uh, because I'm working on replacing the router and trying to live stream off of cell phone data. Might not be as convenient as I would like it to be. So we're going to try to get into this topic a little bit, and then we're going to see where it goes. So, welcome to This and That, ladies and gentlemen, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sander, and today we're going to be doing a brief discussion about um, being too nice in the negative drawbacks of being too nice in the dating field. So, since we're talking about being too nice, uh, first thing we want to start talking about is the fact that the expectation for generosity and chivalry to occur is really outstanding. And oh, I see everybody starting to pour in. I greatly appreciate you guys coming in. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and also if you haven't done so already, join the membership. You have a subscription button down here on the bottom right. If you click that, it'll give you access to the YouTube channel. Otherwise, we're trying to get a stream key, so if you can hit us a follow button here on the platform, that'll help us out a lot. We're trying to get to where we're trying to go with getting the stream key. So, like I was saying, because today's show is going to be a tad bit brief in comparison to the rest of the shows this week, due to the down internet situation. I'm kind of bootlegging the internet right now, trying to make sure that I got it covered. I don't even know how long that's gonna last, but it's got to last till the shows up. So I got to figure that out because I got a lot more streaming to do for the next 24 hours. So let's go ahead and get on top of this here topic. So we were discussing the ins and outs, ups and downs of the being too nice in the dating field, and we've come to understand that since the expectations of men are supposed to be that the men have to be generous and chivalrous, where the expectation to give with no expectation for reciprocation has been a standard for at least the last 30 or 40 years. And it's kind of molded. It went from like guys were just doing it to be nice to it's becoming an expectation. And the hardest part about it is that now random acts of kindness are now expected, and you're not considered a good man if you're not freely giving away your services. And I've seen it plenty of times. It was a man went to the grocery store with his girl because she wanted to go shopping, not because it was in line with the budget, because she wanted to go shopping. She gets to the register and he's going to have her pay for herself because she wanted to go shopping. He took her to the store. That's what she asked him to do. And then she's like, "Oh, you're not going to pay for it all?" And the dude's like, "No, you pay for yourself. I brought you to the store." And she was having a whole rant because she did not bring the money to buy the stuff. She actually thought that he was going to pay for it. She actually thought that if she deliberately didn't have it, that would compel him to go out and go get it or try to charge it to himself. And he was like, "Nah, if you don't got it, then we can go." And he walked right out the building with her, and she was complaining all the way through, talking about how he wasn't a man because he wasn't getting her the things that she wanted. And the thing is that uh, a person isn't defined as a good or bad person based off of how much money they spend on you. They're considered a good or bad person based on how they treat you. So I've said this on the show plenty of times before, that you judge a person if you're gonna judge a person, because thou shalt not judge. But if you're gonna judge a person, you're gonna judge a person based off of how they treat you. and how they treat you is not in line with how much money they spend on you. I mean, I know people are going to try to throw that in there. Well, spending money on me is treating me right. Well, no, that's not the case. Providing you with your basic needs and maybe getting you a little something extra on top of that might be treating you right. But going shopping whenever you want to go shopping, spending money whenever you want to spend money is not treating you right. Now, when you're too nice and you're in relationships, and guys and girls have the same issue, just when you're too nice when you're in a relationship, is that somebody can actually ask more of you than what they normally would have asked of you if you were not overly allowing the particular situation to occur. So it goes without saying that there's a lot of times where you have to really put a pin in your generosity and your kindness and really set standards for them to earn that particular type of generosity. So you're not really going to be giving away your kindness and giving away your resources to individuals who have not yet earned that particular behavior pattern. And it's a wild concept to say no and be expected to not say no. And then, the fulfillment that you have when you actually do put your foot down and say, well, there are certain things that I'm not going to do. I mean, we understand that a lot of times that women say, well, I'm not going to do my wifely duties until after I've already gotten married. And, some women can say, well, if you don't do that, then they'll use you. They'll never marry you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, let's think about it. If he was ever intending on marrying you, he would have married you regardless of whether or not you made him a sandwich. But if you're going to make him eating at your hands the requirement for your hands to have a ring on that finger, then he needs to really reassess the situation that he's in with you. Because if your treatment to your husband is conditional to terms and conditions that you are going to dictate even before you guys get married, then that's going to mean that the remainder of your marriage is going to be conditional to the terms and conditions that you dictate throughout the marriage. And those terms and conditions can vary throughout the marriage. He's never going to meet all of the expectations because the expectations will come up at random whenever she wants something more. And if you're not willing to or capable of providing whatever that is, that's when the marriage ends up being over. So when you have a situation where people are putting their greed, the satisfaction of their greed, before the love and affection of their partner, you have to understand as that partner that you deserve better. So individuals who say, well, I'm not going to do such and such unless you do such and such, or, oh, if you don't buy me whatever or spend X number of dollars on me, whatever, then we're not friends anymore. It's like, well, bro, in that case, we're not friends anymore. I'm glad that you pointed that out because we were never friends to begin with. If you value stuff over me, then we were never cool to begin with. I mean, I had a buddy that, we had a conversation about how I had asked him to do something at my expense. And then I was like, there was money there that could have been paid for and you didn't do it. Rudimus. Hey, buddy, I just seen you. I'm bouncing back and forth between two chat windows trying to run the podcast. How you been hanging out? Did your chess score go back up? Because I remember that you were throwing back some games and trying to get your confidence back up. You should have challenged Mr. Pips. I know you could have got like 5 new rounds in off of him. He's not. He's a really good chess player. Terrible sport though, but really good chess player. So I mean, yeah. See, so you were just in a bad swing. See, what happens is that the higher your sky go, the higher your score goes, they put you into a higher tier with more advanced players. And you end up coming across somebody that actually is far more advanced than you are. They got some professional chess players that actually play that game to sharpen their skills and pay attention to rookie mistakes to make sure they don't forget anything. So you might end up stumbling across somebody that was like a 2,500 that lost a few rounds and ended up playing you at the 2,000 round. So never let it hold you back, like I said before. And I see you too, Red Void. I see you. I see Libby Twitcher and Silly Emma. I see y'all over there on Twitch side. Really appreciate the loyal ones following. So today we were having a brief discussion. We're gonna see how long this rides out because I had to replace the router. The router started acting up this past week. It's been shutting it up, and so every time I'm in a good spot, thinking that things were gonna go good, then the system would reset itself, and that would put me in a bad position because if I was trying to stream something, if I was trying to record something, if I was uploading data, it would just defect on me and I wouldn't know what's going on. And while I'm trying to figure out what's going on, it's taking me twice as long to get stuff done. And if the podcast cuts off, then the podcast is off. So to prevent the podcast from getting cut off, I had to hotspot to the laptop so that I could stream for today. The device is supposed to be here sometime tomorrow. Nope, tomorrow's Sunday. So sometime on Monday, so it's supposed to be 2 days. So I got to stream live for 2 days until I get probably 3 days because it might not show up till Tuesday. But whenever it gets in, I'm supposed to be able to hook it up, program it, run it, and it should work for an extended period of time. Like I had to talk to the lady in the customer service situation, and I tell you what, first of all, because I'm a walking business, I had to call her and tell her, I'm like, yeah, so trying to get this done for the business, and I answer the phone, I give her the business name, put all the information in there. Then when I tell her that I'm trying to do the router, then she tells me, yeah, this is the commercial side. I'm like, yeah, I specifically have to call the commercial side for my commercial business to get my commercial router to perform commercial services. She's like, oh, I'm just checking to make sure. I don't know how many times they redirect somebody to you for their router, but they only offer, because I have the T-Mobile company, the unlimited 5G internet, which actually does produce pretty well when the router's working. It is doing a little over 400 upload and about 300 download, or no, it is 400 download and 300 upload. That's something like that. That's a little bit more along the lines of what it is. 400 download and like 300 upload. And they're like, oh yeah, well, if you're doing more than 200 download and like 20 upload, then you're good. I'm like, what? I'm like acing it compared to those numbers. I got twice as much on the download and like 10 times as much on the upload when the router's working. So the parameters that they set is the parameters that my cell phone is hotspotting. So right now it's doing okay. Actually, it's doing better than what it's been doing for the past few weeks. The system might have actually been heavily defected the whole time. I was sitting here struggling trying to get the bandwidth to work. But now that we kind of got it under wraps, I haven't seen any skipping. I haven't seen any flaking out. But I'm also at the bare minimum expectations of them saying that I got good connection right now while I'm doing the hotspot. So when I get the 4G network, then I should be streaming smooth. We should have no glitches and hiccups or anything like that on the podcast. So, that's something that I kind of want to work on. But yeah, the lady was like going through all of the ins and outs of it. And she was trying to explain to me how, that we had to troubleshoot the network. And she's trying to talk to me like I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm not trying to tell her the 3 degrees that I got because, microbiology, communication and health, and computer technology, you cannot tell me that I don't know what's going on with this device. It needs to be replaced. That's why I called you. And, I'm walking her through what I've already done because, when you go to tech support, they want to do the basic troubleshooting steps first to make sure that the device has been troubleshooted so that they can send you another device. So I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and go troubleshoot it. And she wanted me to unplug the device for 30 seconds. I unplugged the device for over a minute and go through all the steps. And then I'm like, all right, so let me tell you what's going on with this device. It's like, I say the router's not working. She said, well, explain not working. Well, I've got 5 devices within 5 feet of the router. Only one of them's connected. And the one that's connected is actually one of the antenna, the signal amplifiers. So she's trying to be like, well, what else do you have connected to it? Nothing's able to connect. So have you tried? No, ma'am. No, of course I didn't try. No, I'm just sitting here, just like trying to live stream, and it's just not live stream. So I said, okay, look, so I'm trying to connect it while I'm talking to you because I've been trying to connect it all day and it's not working, right? And that's why I called you. So she's like, all right, we'll try and connect it now. So I got the phone to connect, but it keeps dropping the signal. And then I explained to her, I said, okay, so I got 1 out of 5 devices to connect, but it's still only showing 1 device connected, but there was supposed to be 2 routers, 2 signal amplifiers connected. So that's at least 3 devices. And it's only showing 1 of those devices. So the other 2 continue to get kicked off. She's not paying attention. And then I told her, well, okay, so I finally got the laptop on. So now I got 2 out of 4 devices, 2 out of 5 devices, and then 2 out of 3 devices, and then 2 out of 2 devices, and then 2 out of 1 devices. And then the router shuts back off. And I'm like, look, while we're on the phone, I have not touched the router. Router's going down. And then it's coming back up. And then it goes down one more time, and then it says it's not reading SIM cards. She's like, well, when you got the device, she's like, did you get she says, this is a warranty exchange. I said, no, it's not a warranty exchange. This was an upgrade because the other router wasn't doing this, and I replaced the router with this router. So she asked me the most interesting question. And this is when you know that they're trying, but they're not paying attention. Because when you say upgrade, what they do with an upgrade is they typically terminate the old services that you were getting and instill the new services that they're offering you when they're offering you an upgrade. Now, the only time that doesn't happen is when you're dealing with like a cell phone and they're going to add you a new phone on the line. So because she doesn't work in tech support, she works in phone services. She's like, oh, yeah. So did you go through the setup process with a tech support agent? No, actually, the agent that sold me the device sold me a brand new line, a brand new SIM card, and mailed the SIM card with the device. And then I stuck that SIM card into the device and turned the device on. Now, since then, the device is supposed to be fully functional, and the device is not so much so functional. And now it continues to terminate itself, and I don't have to touch it. But the previous device had a completely separate line, had a completely separate phone number, completely separate SIM card. And I would assume that because they were 2 different devices with 2 different lines of service, that when one line of service got terminated and another line of service got activated, that we would be on a plug and play scenario, and we'd be able to hook this up and get it to where it needs to be, right? So that's when she comes and tells me, oh yeah, you're right. If you did everything the way it was supposed to be, had it set up and established, that it's supposed to work, right? So this is when I start reading to her the warning, because she's like, oh, well, what error shows up? What error shows up? I'm like, there are no errors. Right now, nothing connecting to nothing. This one says connected with no internet. This one says connected with no internet. That one's starting to say connected with no internet. And finally, an error message. You're not going to believe the error message. So it says, I could drink some tea, y'all, with this one, I would say. It says, unable to register the SIM card. Either the SIM card is the incorrect SIM card where you need to connect the correct SIM card, or you need to contact support and have them troubleshoot the device. Now, that is exactly what was written on the box. When the error, that's the whole error code, that whole paragraph. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, which is what I did. And then I told you what happened, and then you asked me for an error code. That's what the error code says. So she's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and warranty it out. Great. As soon as I called you and told you something was wrong, you should have warrantied it out. But it took us 40 minutes. So she's supposed to give me a call back on Monday, and she's going to call me back at the same time. They usually don't, but she's going to call me back at the same time. So she's like, what time is it? And I love Americans, because when she asked me what time it was, because I told her, I said, well, I called you guys at 3 o'clock Central Time. So same time on Monday, because I have the same schedule on Monday. If you call me at 3 o'clock Central Time, then that will work. Now, this is American Education at Work, because she said, well, what time is it where you are now? Because I'm on the East Coast. I said, well, ma'am, if it's 3 o'clock Central Time, I stared at the clock for a while. And then I said, if it's 3 o'clock Central Time, it's almost 4 o'clock Central Time. Then wouldn't it be almost 5 o'clock Eastern Time? Because there's hour difference. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So you've been on the phone with me for 40 minutes. So if you called me 40 minutes ago on Monday, which would be exactly 3 o'clock, then we would be in a good time slot. Oh, okay, I'll mark it in time slot. So now we'll just see what happens. Because once we reach that point, then the tech support agent more than likely will confirm and then make sure that everything's connected. And then we can live stream with no lag. Whew. I don't know. Till we can live stream with no lag, I got to figure this stuff out. So I wanted to tell you guys that nifty little short story because it's been a very interesting weekend. And tomorrow is going to be a very tough day, or today is going to be a very tough day, depending what country you're in right now. Because after this, I've got to do a plethora of text to audios for tomorrow night's show. And I got this for a couple of my students. So I'm going to be making a lot of audio files. I'm going to be, well, I can't say I'm going to be the new Puff Daddy because no Diddy. But going to be a producer, going to go ahead and produce all of these audio files and try to get everything up and going for the next week. So back to my talking to you guys about being too nice and the drawbacks of that. When you're dealing with being too nice, one of the things that I found was very funny about being too nice is that nowadays it's actually starting to become more frowned upon by those very same people that used to say that you're not a good man if you're not spending a bunch of money on me. Now, they don't really care. If you're not spending money on them when they feel like it, you're creepy. There's the T. And if you are not spending enough money on them when they want you to, you don't care enough, you're not a man, you're broke, whatever. You can't just not be interested in buying stuff for them. You can't just not be willing to get them shit. You literally, there's got to be something wrong with you because you're not spending money on her. But she's not spending that money on you though. So she's not saying, oh, well, we're going shopping and everything's on her. She's not buying, like you're going to carry stuff, but you're not going to have to pay for nothing. She's going to buy for you and buy for her. Nah, you're not going to see a woman do that. I know it happens somewhere, but not in the discussions that we're dealing with today. We have not come across that. And I mean, I would be remiss if a woman was to jump into the comments right now and just lie and say that she does that. I would be like, at least we have one, but we're not even going to get that. So they won't even put up the fictitious expectation that women will pay for men. So unfortunately, we just got to face that fact today, guys, that, non-negotiable expectations worked out in a brother's favor, because when he came, he came with enough money to take care of himself, but he also came with the expectation that that if she doesn't do what he's expecting her to do, he's not covering shit. Now, some guys are coming from a less admirable position because their expectations are like, I'll pay for dinner. Am I getting laid tonight? And if the girl says no, then he's like, well, you're paying for dinner. And the girl will sit there with her jaw dropped. And she's probably like a 7-ish with her overly expensive makeup and everything like that on. So, you know, when you knock off the $1,000 worth of artificial stuff on her face and also take off the waist trainer and everything, like she's probably a solid 5, maybe 5.5, something to that effect. But no, it's not the expectation that you would want it to be. So when we're looking at these, because a lot of the times guys we lower our standards. We lower our standards a lot, a great. When we're lowering our standards, typically lowering our standards to get laid. We're not lowering our standards because we're afraid to be alone. We're not lowering our standards because of our finances. We're typically guys typically lower standards in order to make it more accessible for the quantity, not the quality. So if you were to stand on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, you'd be in a position where you're going to have to turn away potential hookups because the quality is not there. Now, women are typically going to date up until they realize that they can't date up anymore, and then they're going to look at the guys that are still standing there, because most of the guys would have moved on if those guys had common sense. And then out of the guys that are standing there, they'll grab the one with the most reasonable income and then settle down with that guy until they could cheat on that guy with the guy that they actually would have wanted. Now, not saying that men don't cheat, just saying that, you know, she's going to settle for what she believes is less, but it's actually really what she deserves. She's going to settle. And then if somebody of a higher financial status decides to tap her on the shoulder and say, hey, you know, let's make something work, then she's going to make something work. I'm going to be honest with you. That's not the position that we want to be in. We don't want to be in a position where the woman is actually only with us under the expectations that she's going to get everything that she could hope and dream for out of the deal, much less give a damn what you're getting out of the deal. And I was actually talking with one of the fans, Lauren, on TikTok yesterday. She was here on the TikTok side, and she was saying that she had expectations for her man to make a certain quantity of money and pay a certain quantity of money into the pot in order to even have an opportunity to date her. Men do not have that monetary expectation. Women just have to smile and put out, and a man will take care of her every need. But men of value are holding up a higher standard and saying more than sex has to be brought to the table in order for me to cash out. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't take care of yourself, and then we could just have this hookup culture where, like, we meet up, we smash, and then I go on about my day, stress-free life, treat it like Backpage, and order it on the go, get her in a positive attitude, and when she's not willing to go, let her slide. It is what it is. But real talk, real diggity, I don't see myself looking at these types of scenarios where you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this girl because you lowered your standards. Like she doesn't have the visual appeal that you would prefer because she's got extra piercings, she's got extra tattoos. And I know that some people are gonna say, yeah, tattoos are art. I like tattoos. To each his own. You can like tattoos, but the average person that is from that more modest and conformed look, the women are not all inked up. They're not. They're typically more when you say that you want a natural, like straight up natural person, you no marks, no nothing on their body that wasn't originally there when they got born. That's natural. So if their hair was short, if their eyes had very thin eyelashes on them, and no makeup and no body art, no tattoos anywhere, like that's natural. So, you know, you spend a couple $1,000s to make yourself look like Randy Orton. You know, you got tattoo sleeves all over the place. You got that Rock tattoo going across your chest. You got the Mike Tyson tattoo going across your face. And then you still say that you're a 7 as a female. And I'm like, bro, if you look like a UFC fighter as a female, and that's like tattoo wise, not actual physique wise, like you're not a 10. You're definitely not a 10. A woman that looks like Brock Lesnar is not a 10. It's just not happening. You know, if she looks like Big Papa Pump, it's just not happening. Scott Steiner, it's just not happening. So all of this leads to what we were supposed to be talking today about the fact that, you know, if you're too nice and you're not standing on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, then you're allowing your partner to do things that you don't like. And you're doing this for the sole purpose. A lot of the times the men are doing this for the sole purpose of getting laid, and men need to change that perspective, that getting laid is going to happen regardless, because she's going to want to be involved in the situation, and she's got needs as well. Getting laid is going to happen regardless. It just depends on if you're dating the kind of female that is actually going to utilize love, affection, and sexual interaction as a manipulative tool to control her partner, or if she's going to provide it freely in her committed relationship with her partner. So if you're going to be love starved because she's only going to give you what you're looking for when you're doing what you're told, then you got a woman that's going to control you. You know, if she's going to have a headache and, you know, aunt flow and all these other scenarios that she's going to utilize as excuses because she just doesn't want to do it with you, but you can't go get it from somewhere else, you're going to have to rethink your position. I'm not going to say that because she's not feeling good that she's a master manipulator, but I am going to say that if she asks you for something and you tell her no, and now all of a sudden she's feeling bad until you go get her what she wants, that might have not have been a genuine complaint. Now, as guys, we're required financially to provide, or we're not considered men. We are not going to be tolerated by women to be able to say, I'm not going to pay for something just because you didn't do what I wanted you to do. They're going to get mad about that, and they're going to shame you till no end because you're not doing whatever it is that she wanted you to do. Now, the difficulties about this is that unlike women, men just keep their opinions to themselves and they just do different. They're not sitting here unless you really make a man. You have a more feminine than masculine man, and you really make a man, and then you can stop there and really do this bitch fest in open public with you. But in all reality, when that's not the scenario, typically the guy's going to just either do it or he's not going to do it. And if he's recognizing that the situation doesn't call for him to do it, he's just not going to do it, no matter how much you whine and complain and bitch about the situation. So you have to understand that being too nice is typically going to encourage a larger quantity of people to say, hey, you know, you're not good enough if you don't do X, Y, and Z. And your response is, well, if that's all you want from me, then you can go. I don't need to be good enough to get that type of treatment. And I don't blame you. Men and women alike have the capability of saying that you must fit this mold in order for you to be worth my time. But what we have not established, because we established it on the show last time, is that the role that men need to fill for the women it's extensive, but it's pretty shallow as well. So the fact is that if you meet certain core criteria, you can pretty much slide right into the door, you know, but primarily you're going to have that financial status up there. And then beyond that financial status, you're going to be looking into other characteristics that may not even include your ability as a man to be nice to her. Her expectations has almost nothing to do with you being nice to her. You just have to be obedient towards her. And these are the things that I tell people. I say, hey, we need to really renegotiate our position, because she's going to put her foot down and she's going to say no. And no means no. So you, out of respect, you're not supposed to go there. But you're also in another compromising position where, if in the event that you're in this romantic relationship, you're paying out for your partner, and as you're paying out for your partner's not providing to you any of your wants, needs, or desires, So now you're in a conflictual scenario where you would have to then decide, do you want to continue to be treated like this, or do you want to cut the person off and argue about the relationship, potentially break up? Well, if you are too nice, conflict avoidant, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to allow yourself to be mistreated out of the sake of love. That's where the phrase love is blind. If you are too nice, you're going to be in a situation where your feelings are going to be ignored, and you are just going to tolerate not being happy in a relationship while your partner is enthusiastic about the fact that you're doing what you're told. And vice versa, you're going to also have other situations where you're going the extra mile for the sake of the relationship, but your partner is not going the mile for the relationship. She may have already given up on a situation 6 months ago, and she's just there because she's benefiting from the resource. Doesn't mean if she had to invest in it, like having no network but paying the bill still, she wouldn't be paying the bill for a network that she doesn't have. You know, she's not going to be talking to you about network that she's not paying for. So in both scenarios, like, she's getting what she's paying for. Men, on the other hand, we're renting the female and we're not getting what we paid for. And that is not good for our overall objective. So now we have to try to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to accomplish that so that we can meet the requirements that that person wants for us to have, but we can also attain the expectations that we want out of the relationship by standing tall and saying, look, this is certain types of behavior that I'm expecting to see. This is the certain types of behavior that I will allow. And finally, this type of behavior I'm not putting up with. And you should be able to slide on that. 1/5 of the equation. You just slide on it. Slide yourself right up to victory. Because if she's not going to meet up with your expectations for behavior, then you're in a position where you are no longer allowing yourself to be manipulated into cashing out when you have absolutely no intention of cashing out before the possibility of you might actually getting laid become the thing. So if you were more assertive about your position instead of being extra nice or conflict avoidant for months, sometimes years in a relationship where the happiness that you have builds up to the point where you're now miserable enough to cheat, you're miserable enough to break up because you were in a situation where you weren't happy and you didn't say anything. Like one of the fans that was on the show had been cheating on his wife for 7.5 years. And now that he broke up with his girlfriend, his wife's like, what do we do about it now? How do we recover? I asked her, I said, well, how peaceful was your marriage during that 7.5 years that there was a second woman there? Because if that's what it takes to make your marriage work, then you're going to have to start bringing the second person home every day because men like variety. I did say that today was going to be a short show. I did say today was going to be a real short show because I want to make sure that I preserve the internet. I got another 20 hours worth of streaming to do. Before I go into another tangent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in extra effort into working out some of these tech support issues so that we can do a even better live podcast tomorrow and kind of scale up from that. So I do want to wrap the show up a little bit short tonight. Well, it's a lot of it short tonight. I know that y'all see me wrap it up like 2 times a week because of burnout, and I am still kind of burned out. But, you know, since I'm dealing with the preservation of internet service and I just see myself start lagging over on the YouTube and Twitch side, I said, well, hold on, I want to make sure that this stays working because the internet has the ability to time itself out. So before I start allowing it to continue timing itself out, I'm going to reset the system, and that requires me to go off the air. So what I want to do is I want to tighten things up, wrap things up. And I'm going to carry more into this conversation tomorrow because we are live 7 days a week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. So the show should have started 44 minutes ago. So if you come between 8 and 9, you should see us at some point. If you don't see us at 8 or 9, at the top of the hour, then you'll see us at like 8:30, 8:45, 9:30, 9:45 Eastern, and we still will be running that same 30-45 minute show. So As you guys are coming in on the Twitch side, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button, hit the follow button. Same thing for those of you that are on Twitch that have not joined an alliance. You can do the same thing. For the rest of you that are loyal fans that come back and watch us on a regular basis, I greatly appreciate y'all. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign this out real quick. And then we're going to do a better podcast tomorrow. It's going to be, as we do every Sunday, we're going to do questions and comments with the fans tomorrow. So we're going to be taking a text from the fans to turn it into audio files so we can hear what everybody's got to say. For those of you that are joining the podcast throughout the week, you can always, click the link when the link is in the comments section, approve the mic and approve the camera, and it'll bring you straight to the show. The other thing is it helps us with taking care of what we need to take care of. So if you guys are on TikTok side and you wanted to jump onto the show when we are streaming on a regular basis, you could request the invite from your channel, or I can send you an invite if you seem to be interacting with the podcast in a positive fashion. Because while it is an adult podcast, we're kind of not supposed to throw slang curse words around that will get hooked up on the child's behavior and mentality rating. So, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin this, and we're going to be getting the show together for tomorrow. So I want to go ahead and wrap this up and start doing some intricate stuff behind the scenes, and then we can start coming off strong tomorrow, and then hopefully keep running it strong for the rest of September. Because for those of you who have not started school, congratulations for getting your kids into school, because now you got some peace, and that's going to start September 2nd. So if you haven't already seen it happen, just be ready. It's about to happen. And getting some rest is going to be something that all parents are going to be able to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign out of TikTok first. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to ask you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, make it make sense. And for the rest of you guys that are still showing us love, I really appreciate you guys for coming to the podcast, because you guys really make the podcast what it is. Hey, we're actually crossing some bridges here. We're looking at some people that are actually in it to win it. Wasn't expecting that. So I was expecting some. Ooh, hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I was looking at some options. There it is. They changed the options so many times on this thing when they upload the TikTok channel. Because I don't have stream key yet. I'm still trying to get to the stream key. So I'm in the TikTok studio streaming camp thing, and it's got me doing all kinds of weird stuff in order for me to log off of it. So I got to do a bunch of stuff to log in, then I got to do a bunch of stuff to log off. It's like getting jumped into a gang every week and then getting jumped back out of the same game. But we're still friends. Now, y'all going to beat my behind until I have fear of God in me and I can't trust nobody and I want to get revenge on y'all. And that's when we're considered blood brothers. That shit makes no damn sense. Either way it goes, like I said, I'm going to wrap it up today. I'm going to keep everything short. So I really appreciate you coming in. I do extend my apologies for the fact that it's not as long as it should be or as long as it could have been. Because, I'm still trying to get through this internet situation. So just bear with me through the weekend. We're going to have some longer, better shows. And with the workload shifting on me, I'll be able to have a lot more free time to provide you guys with better quality content on the podcast. And we're going to be, really stepping up as to the release times and other stuff that we have to do in order to make the show successful. So hang in there. Go to the channel, take a look at a lot of the merchandise, the affiliate merchandise, the store brands that we have for ourselves, as well as checking out some of the rides you can get on after they finish doing what they're doing with the festivals and stuff. So I appreciate you coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I am your host, Sander, and I will be seeing